Welcome in our office in Berlin. The publishing house Hatje Cantz is based actually in an apartment in the middle of Charlottenburg, and we are working with 25 people here, and we are making the most beautiful art books in the world. How can this happen? I think every book is a love story. It is a love story and a translation process, because everyone working here and involved in the production process of a book is passionate for books, is passionate for the quality in which we produce it, and it's about finding the right subjects, images and projects, and to channel them into a book, which means basically on paper, to produce it on paper. Art books are in particular interesting because we also translate a sensual experience into another medium. So when you look at photography with the light from the back, or you look into painting oil on canvas, for instance, this again needs also to be translated into what a book means. Publishing also means that many people work together. All departments, when comes up an idea, maybe from editorial, maybe from outside, discusses what can this be? What would be the appropriate object to put this content in the right way into the world? And all these people work together. Every aspect of this production needs to fit into the other. This is what I call a love story, because the book gets an energy and it really carries it on until it's the perfect outcome as a book for this project.
Welcome to our factory in beautiful Trentino. We are PrinterTrento, and since more than 40 years we produce beautiful books made here in Italy for the best publishing houses in the world. All of us here at PrinterTrento, from sales to customer service, from pre-press to planning, from printing to binding, we take great pride in what we do. It is always a pleasure to see a new book fresh out of production, knowing that it contains a part of each of us, of our passion and dedication. Even more so in the case of an art book. So how do we do it? What does it mean and what does it take to print an art book? You need to have the best technology and know-how and a lot of experience, of course, but that's not enough. It requires something more. I think that producing an art book is basically trying to get two different worlds to communicate. The world of industrial production on one hand, made of technology, measurements, quality control, and numbers, and the world of art, on the other hand, made of creativity, atmosphere, and feelings. And while at first glance these two worlds might seem so far away from each other, when you find a good team and the right partners, it is possible to make them meet. And when they do, something special, like a great art book, comes to life.
This is how it all started. The famous gallerist Howard Greenberg called me up and said, listen, are you interested in making maybe a book with Ruth Orkin? So he put me in touch with the daughter of Ruth Orkin, and she always wanted to make a big retrospective book for the centennial, so for 2021. I was interested in that. There is this famous image that everybody knows, American Girl in Italy it's called, where Jinx, that's the name of the girl, is walking down the aisle in Florence, Italy, and all the guys are like, ciao bella. So it was like everywhere, this picture was everywhere. But I knew there had to be more. There had to be more color photography, and I was chasing Mary and said, listen, can we come to the archive and look for it? And so Katharina and I were going there, and we spent days looking through all the boxes and finding great work. Now it was like, of course, all dust on it and this and that, but those slides had a freshness. I was immediately struck by that. So the new idea for the book was clear, it was there. We had to concentrate on the women in photography at that time, photographed by Ruth Orkin.
After artists, museums, or authors approach editor Hatje Cantz with a book idea, the program management makes a decision as to whether the book fits into their publishing program. After initial discussions, Hatje Cantz contacts PrinterTrento, a high-quality printer in northern Italy, which prints and binds the best books in the world since the 1980s. Together, they work on a timetable for the production of a new masterpiece. The project manager takes care of the whole process from signing the contract to the finished book and is in constant dialogue with all the parts involved. Once the team has made a selection of photos for the book and agreed on a layout, together with the graphic designer, the digital file is sent to the lithography department, which retouches the images. The biggest challenge with Ruth Orkin's photos is to repair the negatives, remove dust, scratches, and signs of use, and despite the combination of black and white and color photos, to create a certain homogeneity in order to achieve a harmonious end result. A central question of the production process is how much the photos should be edited. It is a balancing act to process the photos, but still preserve the character and charm of the 1950s, and thus the feeling of the time when they were taken. Production is responsible for the choice of paper. Several factors play a role in the choice of printing paper. For each book, Hatje Cantz individually weighs up which paper properties are particularly suitable for the very different artistic works. For this project, Garda Premium Natural 150 grams was the best choice. In order to satisfy the most demanding printers in publishing sector, Garda Premium Natural has been developed and engineered by Cartiere del Garda R&D team to combine superior surface properties, printability, cracking on folds resistance, and unique optical properties. Prime quality raw materials selection and strict control, according to internal ISO 9001 protocols, are a key topic for premium natural production. Besides other physical characteristics, natural shade, controlled according to ISO standards, is the fingerprint of premium natural, which is produced with a minimum amount of dyes and optical brightener. Paper interaction with commercial inks is evaluated for every single batch to guarantee the best performances. The last step in quality control is the industrial press. Garda Premium Natural is regularly printed, and print results are deeply analyzed to guarantee quality consistency over time. As soon as the image processing is complete, the lithographer creates the so-called proofs, a color-accurate simulation of the subsequent print result. Although this is not yet the final printing paper, this step is crucial in order to control the tonality and intensity of the colors. The proofs are carefully checked by Hatje Cantz. Comments and requests for changes are noted directly on the sheets and sent back to the lithographer, who then makes the corrections. As soon as the proofs have been approved, a digital print file can be created. PrinterTrento receives the print-ready file and uses it to create the so-called blueprint. This marks the last opportunity for Hatje Cantz to check whether all content has been placed correctly in the book layout. The publisher can count on a full prompt service of quality control by the PrinterTrento's pre-press department, which will try to interpret the needs of the client while giving suggestions on how to obtain the best results on paper. This is one of the key aspects for a publisher who's willing to strive for excellence in their branch. Upon receiving the final approval from the editor, the printing process can finally start.
Each book has a story of its own during production. Each has its own characteristic and its challenges. This is particularly true in the case of an art book. The biggest challenge when printing an art or a photography book is that we are trying to reproduce something that almost does not exist in nature, but is in the artist's imagination. To do that, we first have to understand the aim of the artist or the photographer. What kind of atmosphere does he or she wants to create? What kind of emotion does he or she wants to communicate? Once we understand this, we can then choose the most appropriate printing technique. In the case of this book, there are a lot of black and white images. In order to achieve the best possible result, we used a so-called duplex technique, which consists in using a highly pigmented black ink and a self-mixed gray color. This harmonizes well with the natural white shade of the paper, and it adds depth and plasticity to the images. It helps to translate on paper the atmosphere that the photographer wanted to create.
So with the imposition plan ready, the pre-press operator is ready to launch the plate-making system and insert the plates in the printing machines. It's time to start the creation of a new masterpiece on paper. When the printing is finished, PrinterTrento sends the so-called folded and gathered sheets. These are sheets of production which have been cut and folded manually and sent unbound to the publisher for inspection, and after a final check from Hatje Cantz, released for the binding process. Each step of production is closely monitored and inspected thoroughly by checking colors, shades, and print quality throughout the whole print run. PrinterTrento is one of the few printers who is able to work with duplex. Their over 40 years experience in the business have thus made them the editor's #1 choice for art and photography books. The regular cooperation and trust between Hatje Cantz, PrinterTrento, and Cartiere del Garda have already brought several masterpieces to life on the book market in the field of art and photography. The printed sheets arrive at the bindery IGF, part of PrinterTrento's group. Here the sheets are cut, sewn, and the book block is glued and assembled to create the finished book. The machines work no-stop in a harmonious dance to craft the best volume possible. At the end of the day, a book will inevitably be judged by its cover as well. From there, the bound advance copies are sent to the publisher. The team in Berlin is always super excited when a box of first copies arrives, following months of hard work. They are once again very happy with the final result and can't wait to show the book to the public. Now Hatje Cantz can start promoting the book. The book is photographed and announced on their website and on social media. Finally, the book is delivered to local and international distribution partners, shown in bookshops and museums and, in the case of women, complements the opening at Galerie F3, Freiraum für Fotografie as an exhibition publication.
So you have followed our journey to the book. Here is the book. The result of this love story is something that remains. We have a wonderful physical book. It transfers knowledge and it makes possible an experience of high quality photography. This is what it's all about in making books and finding the right teams and fulfilling the love story. We do hope that now the book goes into the world, to the booksellers, and they fly off the shelves.